Ravel, ambitious, but brilliant! I don't believe it! I swear I do not believe it! And they are back on terms!
We're here again. This is the Rotherham United podcast, or we'll think of a new name like the Referees Zone or something like that. So we get a more appropriate name. Because once again, we'll be talking about Rotherham United defeat and a refereeing performance. Just me and Mick this one. Ben will be with us for the full podcast on Monday. But just me and Mick to pick through Rotherham United's performance today away at Barnsley. I know I'm going to ask you how you are, Mick. I know the answer to this, but how are you?
I'm struggling, mate. To be honest, I'm going to really struggle with this. I'm going to really struggle with this podcast because I do know that there are kids listening to it, and I'm being genuine. I'm not. This is not tongue in cheek. I could have struggled to express myself in words that won't offend somebody, but we'll see. Let's see how we go, shall we? I'm furious, mate. I'm absolutely. I'm beside myself. I'm over there, beside myself.
Yeah. If you don't laugh, you cry, is the way I feel at the minute. We lose 1-0. Let's start with the non-refereeing part, Mick, because that's sort of a positive. The performance today was a very good performance.
Overall, it wasn't bad at all. It was a performance worthy of getting something from the game. It was a performance worthy of getting 3 points out of the game, to be honest. Probably. But certainly to get something. The finishing has been woeful today, again. It was. There's no other word for it. The finishing was woeful. But that's not why we lost the game.
No.
Overall the performance was really good. I thought the intensity was there for the full 90 minutes. They grafted, they worked really, really hard, and they were the better side for the full 90 minutes plus injury time. They were the better side. There is no question about that. I don't see how anybody can argue that point. But it doesn't make any difference, does it? You can be as good as you want to be. But ultimately, as it was on Wednesday night, you're playing against 12 men, and their 12th man is the most important player on the pitch. Yeah.
Well, we started the day by waking up to find out if Crooks' appeal had been, if we found out the result of it. It was announced. I assume the club had kept the card close to the chest to keep Conor Barnes guessing. Somehow Crooks' ban was not overturned. Somehow the red card was not overturned for Crooks.
I don't think it's a surprise, Matt. I don't think that's a surprise at all, because the EFL will look after their own. They couldn't turn over a fourth red card by the same referee in the same season, because they would have made themselves to look the clowns that they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that I don't think realistically it probably was ever going to get overturned, but I'm not massively disappointed about that, because Crooks has not been on his game for a couple of games now. I think he's absolutely drained. So it didn't affect us today, did it? Really?
No. Well, it's about staying in touch. But if he's got 3 games back, if we can stay in touch, he comes back nice and fresh for the last 2 games.
Yeah.
We'll see. That's a long way away. It feels like a long way away. Anyway, we sit. 4 games left now? 4 points adrift. Everything went our way. There was in the first half, everything was going against us, but the second half, the results started to turn.
Yeah.
Derby stopped winning. Wednesday went back behind. It just felt like something positive was finally going to happen, and then we just couldn't take those chances.
Yeah, it did, and Freddie has an absolute tap-in. Tapping beyond any ones that he's missed previously. Chio's one-on-one with the goalkeeper, I think probably twice. I'm not sure. Certainly once.
Maybe 3 times.
Should have scored. Smithy misses a target when 2 months ago he would have hit the target. Even Hursty gets in there, and then goalkeeper pulls his first save at day off. You know what I mean, or virtually. So yeah, we had the chances. That's why we are where we are, because we're not taking even the tap-ins.
Yeah,
and that has to change if we're going to get out of this, and we're not in a different position than we were at 3:00 this afternoon.
Just one less game.
We've got one less game and another absolute kick in the cobblers. Absolute kick in meat and two veg today again from the EFL or their representatives on the pitch. So.
Yeah, it's time to talk about that. So I've got some comments here. John C. I always thought if you give a goalkeeper 4-arm smash before you head the ball, it was a foul. Yeah. Mick, who was the worst ref, Darren Bond or Gavin Ward?
That's a really unfair question, Stephen.
To be fair, they have both been incredibly consistent in our games this season. Darren Bond's given 2 embarrassing red cards, and Gavin Ward has allowed 2 attacks on the keeper in 2 games.
3, to be fair.
Well, 3 if you count the Preston game, 2 incidents in the Preston game. So they're consistent, I suppose.
Yeah. They're consistently poor. I'm choosing my words carefully. I've been reading this before we came on to make sure that I could find the right words to use that weren't actually offensive. So, poor. I've got some more, don't worry. I used this to highlight them.
Yeah. Mark Gambles, afternoon, gents. Great effort from the lads. Cleese and Shillis to Ben how ref can cost you points.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cost us a point today because, Mick, Barnsley weren't scoring today.
No.
They didn't really, Blackman didn't really have much to do with his kicking, which kicking were very good actually.
Yeah.
But he didn't have what to do, did he, Blackman?
No, he didn't. They had nothing. They had nothing at all, Barnsley today. And that's no reflection on them and how they performed for the season, because they've been effective and they've got themselves into a fantastic position. So I'm not criticising Barnsley in any way, but they had nothing. They gave us nothing. They created nothing, and they didn't score any goals and didn't look like scoring any goals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With the exception of obviously putting our goalkeeper in hospital in order to get it into back at net.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we'll talk about Barnsley in the full podcast because we need to talk about the decision. Callum Gibson said we should have won that game. The goals should not have been allowed. We makes a fair point. We need to bring in a goal scorer, someone we can allow week in, week out. It'll cost money, but personally, Freddie were meant to be that guy, wasn't he? Though.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
He was, and he's not had a bad game. Don't get me wrong.
Did all right.
It's not a bad game. But you know what? For me, as far as I'm concerned, he could have played the worst he's played all season and knocked that tapping in. You know what I mean? That's because that's what we want from him. Ultimately, that's ultimately what we want from him. So, anyway, what can you do?
Yeah. Jason Wick. This is exactly how I'm feeling, mate. Not sure what to say. Better side, no luck, missed chances, lose again. Absolutely good. It is difficult to put it into words at the minute, mate. The goal itself, we're 2 minutes into the game, and whether he's elbowed him or hit him with his forearm, I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty confident it's the elbow. I can't think of a single way to defend the referee decision in that incident. It is a blatant foul. And the referee thinks it's a blatant foul because he goes to blow his whistle. He goes to put the whistle to his mouth. And if you watch it on the replay, there's a Barnsley player screaming. He's already screaming in the referee's face, complaining about the decision before the decision's being made. So the referee then changes his decision. Yeah, it's a disgraceful decision. It doesn't make sense why he didn't give that foul. I can't work it out. What is he seeing to make it not a foul? I don't understand. No, I agree with you, and I'll be honest with you. You know, and we've said this before, and I hear people saying it, and I've heard Steve Evans, Fat Boy, it were his mantra, weren't it? You know what? They don't want us in this division and all that. And I've laughed at it, and I've scoffed at it, because it's immature, it's childish, it's pathetic. Just a pathetic thing to say, really, and all those other things I said, and yet, I still believe it. Well,
still
Paul
believe
Warren
it.
agrees with you.
Yeah,
Paul Warren agrees with you.
yeah. I've just seen that quote from him.
Paul Davis, off Paul Davis' Twitter feed. The decision in the second minute reaffirmed my belief that certain people want to see us down.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I can't
It's
believe I'm agreeing with
difficult
that.
to argue against it. Exactly. It's difficult to argue against it because I don't. That's the only reason. Again, I agree. It sort of sounds like you're sort of being a 5-year-old saying, "Oh, but he's," you know what I mean. But what else is there?
I don't know what to say. I don't honestly. I'm so annoyed. I cannot tell you that decision. That is worse. I think it was Stephen that asked the question. That decision is much worse than the decision that Halfwick gave the other night for the sending off. It's much worse. It's absolutely inexcusable. But again, what's the point? What's the point in us ranting and raving and shouting his mouth off on here and shouting his mouth off on Twitter and other forms of social media, because nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. These people will continue to be employed. They'll continue to do the same thing. They'll continue to do the same thing to other teams week in, week out, because they're not good enough. But the EFL aren't interested. They're not bothered. They don't care. They're not interested. It's just outrageous. And these are the people that look after our game. You know what I mean? And it's just a shambles, an absolute shambles.
Yeah.
I know we should have won some more games this season. We shouldn't be where we are. One of the reasons we are where we are is because we've not won enough games.
Yeah, right? I agree.
We've not taken chances. Freddie's missed that tap in, you know what I mean? Or whatever. But the last two games, we could be 6 points better off now, sitting 2 points outside the playoff with 2 games in hand. 2 points outside the relegation zone with 2 points, 2 games in hand and 2 points outside it. I'm absolutely convinced that we would have won that game on Tuesday. We would have probably got a draw today out of today. So yeah, we would have been equal on points and out of it on goal difference. Through nothing at all that we have done.
Yeah.
Nothing that we can control.
A couple more tweets from Paul Davis, which again, I'm glad one is coming out, but it's just making me more angry. Possible concussion for the Viking, eye socket damage. If it's an eye socket damage, that means it's got him, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Apparently, Morris told Paul Warren that he was waiting for the referee to blow out the goal. So even the guy who scored it thought it was a foul.
He did. You could see from his face.
And the Barnsley boss has done his best Arsene Wenger by saying he didn't see the incident.
Yeah, whatever.
That's
absolute garbage.
Cop out. Yeah. Mighty Miller's 20. It's a good job he's banned off Twitter for kicking off at Bond because his head's gone today. Yeah. Paul M asked a valid question. If when he went through and when he stayed on his feet, if it had gone down, would he have been given a red card and a penalty? No, because it's Gavin Warren and we're Rotherham United.
That was a penalty. I don't care whether Benny goes down or not. There is no need for him to go down or not. And I'll tell you something else as well, shall I? You know, if that's done outside the box, the referee gives it. 100%.
Pulls it back.
Definitely pulls it back and gives it. That is a penalty. No question about it. I don't want him going down. I don't think he should go down, no. Just why should he have to go down just so these absolute useless turds can actually see what's happening, you know what I mean? Not good enough now. Not a penalty. It's a penalty all day long. I'm on one, aren't I?
You are a bit on one. Callum Gibson. Callum Gibson, I also love how the referee had to get the steward to protect him from the Viking. The FA, also on the Crooks red card, dangerous play. We'll talk about it on the main show, but embarrassing if that's the word, if that's the phrase they have used.
Just a minute.
I can sort of accept the referee making a decision, Mick, that was wrong. I don't accept it, but I can almost bring myself. But it's the arrogance at half time as well as full time of not even engaging. There's people saying why have you given that foul, and he's not interested. He's saying go away. He's not even looking at them. And this is why it's difficult to give. You've got to give referees respect. I accept that. Everybody should get respect. But it's difficult to give people respect when they show you just complete and utter. I don't even know what the word is. They just disregard for you.
Content.
If they don't show you respect, it's embarrassing.
Look, he can't give an explanation. That's why he won't have the conversation, because he can't. Because he knows that he's done it wrong. He knows he's made a mistake. He knows he should have blown. He knew immediately that he should have blown, but he didn't. And he hasn't got the spine to stand up now and stick his hand up and say that, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre. It's utterly bizarre is not the right word. It makes me feel physically sick. It really does.
Yeah.
It really does. God only knows how Warney and the rest of the team and Johansson and Matt Hamshaw was clearly absolutely furious with these people, because it's just every week. It's every single time. And it's just, I don't know what to say. We need to do a Rotherham United podcast X-rated. Not for anybody else, just for me, because then my wife will start talking to me again, and things will all be rosy and garden again, because I'll feel all right. But at the moment, I just want to. I don't know what I want to do. To be honest, I want to punch.
I want to be at ground, and I want to be shouting at the referee.
Yeah,
that's what I want. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't. If fans are there, I think that decision's given. Because that decision would have been in front of 4,000 Rotherham fans screaming at him. Yeah, the decision 100%. Gets given.
Yeah.
And it's a complete cop-out that he's not given that decision.
Which makes it worse.
Ian Richardson points out here that the officials not account for actions and deficiencies, and that is a very unique position. What's the worst that's going to happen to Gavin Ward now? He might not referee on Tuesday, but he'll probably referee next Saturday. It's punishment, isn't it?
It's worse than that, Ian. It's worse than that. It's not only are they not accountable, you can't even criticise them, because if you criticise them, you get punished for it.
Yeah.
You will get punished.
Crooksy will probably get a fine for what he's tweeted out today, probably.
Absolutely. And I've said this before, and it is a bit extreme, I guess, but it's like it's a dictatorship. It is literally a dictatorship. You know what I mean? In communist Russia or communist China or North Korea, you criticise the authority, you get punished. So you don't do it.
They punish him a bit more extreme, but
the principle I'm talking about, the principle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the principle is exactly the same. You're not allowed to question authority. Otherwise, if you do, you get punished. How is that right? In what other walk of life is that acceptable? You know what I mean? In what other walk of life, where nowhere near the amount of money is at stake, where nowhere near the amount of people are affected? None of them at all.
No. If we said this earlier before we started press record, if we're going to go down, all right, I can accept it. If we got done by a good cross and a DK finish or a Woodrow finish or whatever, and it were a really good goal, hold your hands up. Yeah, we played quite well. They scored 100%. A good goal. That's one of those things. It's probably force us to go down. Yeah. Whatever. I'd be annoyed, but I would be able to move on very quickly from it. Just give us a sodding chance. Do you know what I mean? After the decision on Wednesday, and the decision on Saturday morning or Friday night, to the decision 2 minutes past 3, what chance have we got?
You got no.
Do you know
chance,
what I mean? We
haven't got a chance. We haven't, because even if you turn it around
behind your back,
turn it around on pitch, it's still not going to happen. It's still not going to happen. It's simple. I genuinely feel, and obviously, look, with 20 minutes at half an hour after game, tensions and emotions are still running high. However, I genuinely can't see how we're going to get out of this now, because we're not going to be allowed to. I tell you now, we'll go to Brentford on Tuesday or Wednesday night or whatever it is, bang 4 past them, and they'll get 5 penalties. You know what I mean? That's how it feels.
It does.
Anyway.
Divine Gregory points out something that you've mentioned before, Mick. But he says good referees are stuck in the lower league. It's about who you know and what you know. Now there are examples of where that's not the case. Trevor Kettle, but we've talked about this a lot this season, Mick. There was better refereeing performances last season, than there have been in any game this season.
Yeah,
People say, "Oh yeah, but you got promoted." Rotherham are not a particularly big team in League One. It's not like we're a big fish and we're getting the bigger decision like sometimes people see in the Championship. The referees and people who are in League One right now may well disagree with this. The refereeing standards in League One have been better than they have been in the Championship by quite a long way, and that's embarrassing. That is really embarrassing. And it's interesting that the referees in League 1 and 2 are technically not professional, but the referees in the Championship are professional.
No, they're not.
Well, that's their job. It's their profession.
Is what I mean by that. They are not professional. They are not professional. They cannot be described in any way as professional. I've had a look in here. I know what professional means, and they are not professional.
Yeah,
they don't even behave in a professional manner, let alone have any competency. You know what I mean? Joke. Embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. You want to hang your head in shame. EFL, it's a joke. It's an absolute embarrassment.
They don't care, mate. They don't care.
No. Well, they don't. And hopefully, with what's gone on off the pitch over the last couple of weeks with this Super League and what's his face, Parry, you know, the Liverpool CEO.
Oh, don't get me started on him. We're going to come on slide. But so this is completely off topic. But Rick Parry, who runs the EFL, this is how bent the EFL are. The EFL didn't want the European Super League because they didn't want the 6 big clubs to go away from us. Rick Parry thinks we should give the big 6 the power, which is what Project Big Picture are about. This is who's running the sodding game.
Yeah.
So another topic that grinds me.
But the bottom line is this is what you're up against, and it's all about the money in it. They're not interested in what happens in the Championship, despite the fact that is the EFL's flagship, and therefore the referees and the standard of referees that they've got in there is just wow.
Yeah, there must be.
Yeah, absolutely. What has everybody else got to say? Come on.
2 more comments. Stephen Adams, surprised that Ward didn't give the Viking a red card for the final whistle. Yeah. Just put ice on the cake. I did think that, Mick, and I wonder if that's backing up that he thinks he must have got the decision wrong, because any other referee would have sent the Viking. It did. I understand why he did, why he confronted the referee, because I would have done exactly the same.
Yeah.
But to react like that is not really, in the laws of the game, acceptable. So the only reason not to send him off is if you sort of feel sorry for him and you give him a bit of leeway.
Yeah, but we don't. We talk about the laws of the game, shall we? Let's not, because we've already done that, haven't we? And that's why the referee found himself in that position, because he doesn't know what the laws of the game are or doesn't know how to implement them.
Yeah.
So you know.
Yeah, Race Medley. Would it be interesting if the last referees got together to discuss their decisions? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me that. We can't say with certainty, but that if the EFL sort of said, you know, these are having a go at our referee, that, you know, they're having a go at Darren Bond, you know, he's one of our guys, and we know for a fact, having known some referees stick together. They do. It is a referees' union. It is literally a referees' union. I'm not saying that's the case, but it looks dodgy. Let's put it that way.
You know, 30 seconds into the game before this even happened, I put a tweet out saying that I'm surprised that Viking haven't worn a crash helmet today, bearing in mind who the referee is after the Preston game. Not even 2 minutes later, he's laid on his back with concussion and we're 1-0 down.
Yeah.
I don't think the refs get together. I just think that they probably won't find each other anyway, would they? You know what I mean?
No. Not the first time that Rotherham have been sacrificed to help Derby, correct?
Yeah.
Ethan is Polish. I think had a similar afternoon to everybody. He watched the game with his granddad, and his nan must be wondering what grandson she's raised after the swearing at the referee. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you got told off a few times, Michael, for swearing, didn't you?
I might have transgressed a couple of times at some stage. Yes.
Yeah. But Ian Richardson again. Brentford's on telly, and they get decisions and the commentary. Very good point.
Yeah.
Jamie points out the ref was confident with the decision that he made. Him more have to explain to Warren and staff, but just walks away. Absolutely disgraceful. He says, "Win our last 3 games." at this point, we only need 4 points because Derby don't look like they're picking up a point anywhere.
No.
I still think we need a minimum of 7. Seven keeps us safe. So 2 wins and a draw from 4 games keeps us safe. That's a big ask. It is now a big ask.
Big time. We're not going to do it. I'll nail my colours to mass. We're not going to do it.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Mark Gambles, should we just set up his own Super League between Championship and League One? Yeah, we're too good for League One. Referees don't want us at Championship. Start, the Super Championship League. We'll start that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know anybody else who would be in it, to be honest, but there you
go. Wickham could come with us.
Yeah. Yeah, we never beat them. We're the. Mind you, we can't.
Who do we always beat? Stoke. Derby. Bring Derby with us.
Yeah. Why not?
Throw a bit of sympathy.
Yeah.
Because if Derby don't go down this season, they're the luckiest team Championship ever seen. Because they are. John Morrell points out here the way that they won the game today, Birmingham fan. I'm not sure how much fight left in Derby. No, they're a joke.
Yeah, they are. And to be fair, they should have had a points deduction anyway. They should have for the financial irregularities.
Yeah,
for not paying the players during its season, at least once, possibly twice. None of this is ever done, and this is where it all starts to fall down. And yet, we're a player who's possibly had to, maybe will end up having to have hospital treatment for concussion, and yet he's a goalkeeper, and that led to a goal, and I still can't think of words. I'm still struggling. Sorry.
No, I agree. It's just been one of those days. I'm back to Callum Gibson's comment about sadly Hull being promoted today, so well done to Hull. He didn't get lucky today, and if he's not going to get lucky today, Mick, when we need attacking players to come on pitch, when is he going to get lucky?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I don't think. I'm a bit worried about his commitment to it, to be honest, after what I learned about pre-season, which I didn't realise up to press. But then you look at his performance the other night, which just was not one with a great deal of interest in game, was it really, to be fair? But
Matt Hamshaw's just tweeted. Not tweeted us directly. Matt Hamshaw's just tweeted, wow.
I think that, yeah. But again, he's got to be careful, hasn't he? Because otherwise, Big Brother will be down on him like a ton of bricks, and that'll be a fine for him, won't it? Having seen the way Matt Hamshaw speaks to referees and officials, I don't think he cares. And to be fair to him, at this stage in the season, it doesn't matter because we're getting at that stage of the season where you've just got to leave everything on the table. Whatever that is, you've got to leave it on the table. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
A couple of positives, Mick. Ethan is Polish, rightly points out, and this for me, this is a massive bonus. Blackman was good when he came on. All right, he didn't have much to do, but he dealt with the crosses very well. His kicking was excellent, to be fair. His distribution was excellent, wasn't it? Yeah.
It would have been sweet for him to get ahead on that one of those last corners in the last couple of minutes. That would have shut a few people up, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? That would have been sweet, but not to be fair. But he played well. Played really well. So
and I said this after 10 minutes watching the game, Mick. Chio's back, isn't he?
Yeah, he is absolutely.
I know he didn't score, but he's back.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, if he were putting those chances away, he wouldn't be with us, would he?
And he'd be a striker, not a winger.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, he's back, and that's massive. That is massive for us, and that could help us. It could help us. We'll have to wait and see. Bearing in mind we're going to Brentford on Tuesday, who offloaded him. So we'll have a point to prove to Brentford.
True.
So we'll have to wait and see. But let's not pin any hopes on that game.
Well, they've got nothing to play for. Brentford are now confirmed in the playoffs, and they can't finish top. I don't actually know what their result was today. I'll have a look while we're talking. But they won today. They beat Brentford, beat Bournemouth 1-0. But they're dead and buried in terms of the promotion fight, which means they are going to be resting players. They will. Thomas Frank's done this before. And he rightly would. I think Steve Evans did it. I think when we got the playoffs under Steve Evans, you rest players. They will be doing that.
Yeah.
Realistically, their season's dead and buried until May the whatever.
Yeah.
It's all 4 teams have got naught to play for.
No,
all
absolutely.
of them.
Yeah.
Which means we could get something out of all their games. If we go on an unbeaten run, we're going to stay up.
Yeah,
That's the way to look at it. If we pick up 4 points from these last 4 games, even if we draw all 4, that's a good chance we're going to stay up.
Yeah.
Today was just a chance.
It's doable, but everything at the moment feels like it's conspiring against us. You know, every ball that runs loose in 6-yard box drops to a defender. You know, every ball that sort of bobbles along line rolls out instead of rolling in. You know, every time a referee makes a decision, it's a calamitous one, and it's against us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it puts us. All these things are just conspiring against us. It is possible, and I wouldn't for 1 minute wave the white flag. I just can't see it. Experience tells me from watching this for many years that we don't tend to be the ones that have those glorious escape.
Except under Warnock.
Yeah, except for under Warnock, which was a different kettle of fish. You know, that was a short-term appointment for a reason.
Yeah.
To perform that job. That's not the position and where we are as a club is at the moment. But
no.
Yeah. Neat mare.
Yeah. I can't think of anything more positive to say, Mick, so I think we're going to end on the positive of just a couple of good performances.
Yeah, a couple of decent comments. John, again, for the Birmingham supporter, said the way they won the game today. I said that you've done that one, haven't you? It was this one. You know, pick up points in the last 3 games. It can be done. It can absolutely be done.
Momentum is massive. Momentum is such a people sort of scoff at momentum. Momentum in football is almost everything. You see that in the playoffs. If 1 point can turn into 3, which can then turn into 7, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
It's just about getting that ball rolling. And we've shown when January, February, when we went on that good run, if we can just get into that run, just get a bit of. It's a bit of belief that we can actually score a goal. Is what we sort of need at the minute.
Yeah, it is, and it's just not happening, is it? Not happening.
No. So, thank you all for watching. We'll be back on Monday morning for the review of this for the full podcast. Me and Mick definitely will have calmed down. We'll find out what Ben thinks. We'll also be looking ahead in that episode to the Brentford game on Tuesday, which will be our 4th to last game of the season. A win in that game, and I tell you what, it's on. But a loss in that game, and it's going to be very difficult. It is that time of the season. So thank you very much, Mick, for unbelievably not swearing. I am very shocked.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for that timer, that countdown thing to come back on again. And I'll be all over it.
Thank you. Yeah, and thanks all for getting involved and all the comments and everything today. We appreciate it. We haven't got through all of them, to be fair, but thank you all that have. And we'll see you all on Monday morning for the next episode of the Rotherham United podcast. Thank you very much, guys. Freddie's on one-on-one. Freddie turning shoot. Can they go shot? Yeah!